Hey ladies, Courtney Flugner here, artist with Seint Beauty. In this tutorial, we're going to focus on eyeshadow and some helpful tips and tricks for that. So the first thing that I always like to remind ladies when they are getting ready to do their eyeshadow is to prep your eyelids. So make sure, number one, that your eyelids and your face in general are nicely hydrated. So if you've put on an eye cream or a moisturizer, we want to make sure that this skin is well hydrated and not dry to start out. Next, we want to actually prime the eyelid. This is going to help our colors last longer. It's going to help your application go on smoother, and blending is going to be easier when you have primed your eyelid. So I like to use my brightening highlight or my concealer shade from Seint to prime my eyelid. You can pick up an actual eyeshadow primer from the store if you want. I just like the fact that this is already in my compact, so it's ready to go and it's right there for me to use it. I'm going to show you guys two brushes today from Seint. This is the smudge, and then I'm going to show you the eyeshadow brush for our application. But this is a really nice one to put the primer on. So I'm going to use kind of this flat side of it, and we're just going to tap in a little bit to my concealer shade. And we're going to go ahead and prime the lid and above the lid and prep this whole space. Tap in just a little bit more. It just takes the smallest amount. I'm gonna bring it up onto the brow bone some. Okay, so once I have my lid primed, I'm going to go in to my setting powder, and we're just gonna go ahead and set that concealer. And this is gonna give a nice even base and layer to start our eyeshadow. If you have hooded eyes or mature skin, you're going to want to kind of pull on this outer area just slightly and be really gentle with that because that skin is super delicate there. But if you have mature skin, if you have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles on the eyelid, you want to pull that skin upwards and just tap that concealer in so that it fills in all the areas of the eyelid. And again, I'm just gonna go ahead and add that setting powder to make sure that it is nice and set. So we've got our eyes primed, they're ready to go. We've got the setting powder on them. I generally do the same type of method for every eyeshadow look. It doesn't really matter what combo I'm doing. I try and, I usually stick to the basics, and I just switch out the color scheme. So what I like to do, I like to start with a base matte, kind of all over the lid. And this is usually going to be a lighter color, so more of a neutral color. In this first line in my palette, I tried to put these in here so that you guys could see some examples of light base mattes that I love to start my eyeshadow looks with. So you can see I have some lighter colors right here. We have one that's very similar, a little bit darker than what an actual setting powder is. And then I have some pinks and taupes right here, but these are all really light and they're gonna be very neutral looking on the eye. So once we get the lighter base coat on, I tend to go for kind of the next shade up. So more of a medium shade. This is gonna be a lighter, medium, and then we're going to work our way to a darker. The medium I like to place, and I call it more of a transition color. So most of that neutral base that we started with is going to be in this area, and the transition color is going to be more in the crease and slightly above the crease on the bone. You can feel your brow bone right there. We really want to bring this medium shade out from the crease and up into this area, because when our eye is open, it's going to give the appearance that our eye is larger and more open, and it's just going to kind of transition up from a lighter color to more of a medium color. This is going to give more of a contouring look to the eye and give more dimension. The third color that I normally choose in a combination would be one of these darker matte colors, and I kind of put these in a row right here so you could see some examples of those. Definitely a drastic difference from light to medium to dark. But we're going to try and keep most of this darker color in the outer corner. You can use it to do a soft smudged eyeliner look underneath on the outer edge right here of the lower lash line. But we're going to try and keep most of the darker colors out of this inner corner of the eye. We want to keep this generally bright to help our eyes be more open and bright and appear larger. So normally I would, in most cases, stop at 3 colors for an all matte look. Light to medium to dark out here. If I'm going for more of a metallic look, I will add a shimmer, usually just on the lid area. Sometimes I like to do 1 shimmer, sometimes I like to do 3 shimmers. A lot of times I will put a very bright and light shimmer right here in this inner corner. The middle of the lid, I might go with more of a medium shimmer, and then the outer corner, I tend to add more to that smokiness, and I might go with a darker shimmer. I try and keep a lot of the shimmer off of this general area up in this. So closer to the brow, too much shimmer going all the way up here, and then having a bunch of fallout down here, and not having a sharp pull up right here can kind of give the eye the appearance that it's being pulled down. So I try and keep most of my shimmers right here on the lid, and then I keep more of the matte look up here, and I try and keep my eyeshadow from going in this general area down here. So we're gonna usually clean up our eyeshadow when we're done right in here to give the appearance that our eye is being lifted. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm gonna stick with more of a neutral eyeshadow look. So I'm gonna show that on this eye first, and then on this eye, we're gonna use the same colors, but I'm gonna give some helpful tips with hooded eyes and mature skin on this side. So my favorite brush to use every single day for eyeshadow is Seint's eyeshadow brush. It's double-ended, it's got a small dense end on this side, and it has a nice fluffy side on the other. This is really great for blending back and forth. This is really great for darker colors and more detailed areas to get into those corners. It works great to create that smudged lower lash line look, but this is my absolute favorite. So if you are looking for kind of an eyeshadow brush that can do everything for you, this is an awesome one to learn with. So I'm gonna start with this color right here. It's kind of a light taupey brown. It's called Chai. It is a great color for ladies who like neutral. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tap in to this color. I like to always tap my brush off. It helps get some of that excess off so that we don't have a ton of fallout down here. By holding the brush further at the bottom, you're gonna have a really, really light hand, which is going to create more of a blended look. It's gonna be much easier to blend if you're going at it very gentle and very light-handed. The closer that you hold it down here, like a pencil or a pen, it can create harsh lines, it can kind of muddy your colors, and it's gonna make it more difficult to blend your eyeshadow. So I'm gonna start right here on the lid, and I'm just gonna start tapping and swiping back and forth, kind of a windshield wiper motion here. I kind of do both motions. And I'm gonna go ahead and take it up onto that bone right there that we were talking about earlier. It's basically gonna go up right underneath your brow. And I'm just gonna go real light-handed. When in doubt, just blend, blend, blend. That's the #1 rule to make things easier with eyeshadow. Just keep blending. Okay, so this is a great color if you wanted to leave it just as a nice neutral look by itself. Now that we've got our first base coat on of our light color, we're gonna transition up to more of that medium color. So I'm gonna go in this second row right here, and I'm gonna keep it neutral, but I'm gonna go right here into this color called Butterscotch. And again, I'm just gonna tap into it, coat the brush, always tapping off. Again, I'm gonna hold it down here towards the bottom, and I'm gonna go ahead and just lightly start placing it in the crease. You can see the brush is barely moving. You do not have to really like gouge into your eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep my eye open, and that's gonna help me see where the color is really going now. So I'm out of the crease, and I'm coming up onto that bone, and I'm just gonna keep blending. So now we have a nice transition from the light chai color that we started with. And we have a nice toasty warm brown to kind of accentuate this part of our eye. And it's almost looking like this is larger now, and it's making the eye appear more open. But now we can see more of that contoured look, the lighter going up into the darker. And we're gonna end with one of these darker matte colors right here. I'm gonna go with a nice warm, like chocolatey brown. And I'm gonna switch to this side, the small side, for my darker color, so I have a little bit more control where it's going. And I'm really gonna tap this one off. But I'm gonna start in this outer corner. And I'm just gonna kind of lightly tap it in. Again, we don't have to be scared of these super dark colors in the tin because they are not gonna go on the eye that way. If we keep a light hand and just build the color up to where you want, and just don't rush yourself. So basically I'm going out here in this outer corner. It almost looks like a sideways V out here, or sometimes people call it a C, whatever you see it as. But I'm just keeping that darker color out here. I'm gonna sweep it into the crease just a little bit, but most of it's gonna be concentrated right there. I'm also going to, instead of using an eyeliner pen or pencil and making a sharp line down here from here to here, we're going to use a nice brown eyeshadow and make it more of a soft smudge look. And we're only gonna go about halfway across. And I'm just gonna kind of connect it in this outer corner right here. And it's going to soften the appearance of the eye, and we're gonna keep that wide awake open look that we're wanting. A lot of times using a super dark eyeliner crayon from here to here will make the eye appear smaller. It will close things off, especially for mature skin ladies. I'm gonna go back to the fluffy side now. And I'm just going to kind of give everything one last nice buff together so that I don't have any harsh lines. And now we have kind of a soft, neutral, smoky look with just 3 matte colors. So if you are not a shimmer girl, you could stop with just the matte right here. If you want to go on to a shimmer, stay tuned because that's what we're doing next. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show what it would look like to put 3 colors going across your lid. You do not have to put 3 colors, you can put just 1 color. But I wanna give an example of how I do that. So I'm gonna go with a light color first, right here. We're gonna put Angel's Landing in this inner corner right here. Now, if you want your eyeshadow to look just like it does in the tin, you really want that super metallic, shimmery look, use your pinky finger or your ring finger, press your finger into the shadow, press onto the lid, and slowly drag across until you get it where you want. That is going to take all of the color and all of the pigment and put it right there on the eye, and it's just really gonna make the eyes pop. If you want a soft, more of a soft shimmer look, use your brush. I went ahead and just dusted this off on my towel because I was using it for the dark out here. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you how you can get a soft look with the shimmer. So we're gonna keep it right here in this inner corner. And I'm just gonna kind of fan it out towards this inner part of the lid. I really like both looks. I love a nice pop of shimmer, but I like soft shimmer too. Okay, so you can tell, even to get to this level of color right here in the inner corner of Angel's Landing, it took me about 3 or 4 times of dipping my brush into the tin. If you want, another little trick is taking an even lighter eyeshadow and keeping it right here, basically on the tear duct area. That is going to make that inner corner pop even more. All right, so let's go on to kind of a middle shade, a transition shade right here. I'm gonna go right here again in this realm. Okay, I'm gonna keep it neutral. I'm gonna go with Snowbird right here. I'm gonna dip my brush into that. I'm gonna add Snowbird just in the center of the lid. And I'm just bumping it right up next to that Angel's Landing that we just put in the inner corner. Okay, just like that. Then we're gonna move on. I'm gonna move a little faster now. I'm gonna go with a darker, more bronze. This is called Gilded. And this one I'm just going to focus out here in the outer corner. So now we kind of have this ombre look going on. We have light to medium to dark. And I'm gonna go ahead and take my brush and lightly blur these lines. So nothing looks harsh. I'm barely pressing. We're just lightly dusting. Okay, so now we have a nice, soft, neutral, shimmery look to the eye. This was 6 colors. You do not have to use 6 colors. You could use Angel's Landing all the way across if you wanted to, but just generally keep your shimmers right here on the lid and stick to more mattes up here. And then we can clean up this area down here. I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush and just lightly dust that off. And then I'm just gonna use that concealer to clean up right here underneath the eye. You can just softly press it in. But now we don't have any shadow down here, and it's given the appearance that the eye is being pulled at this outer corner out here. Okay, so let's do this same look over here, and I'm going to do more of the hooded eye mature skin tips. The number one thing with hooded eyes, we're gonna keep the eye basically open the whole time. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna flip to the fluffy side of my eyeshadow brush again, and we're gonna go back into Chai. If you guys hear the dogs barking in the background, there's just no controlling it. So I'm gonna go ahead and lightly tap this Chai color all over the lid. I'm gonna bring it up onto that bone. Again, if we have mature skin and we have fine lines and wrinkles, we're gonna pull and press that shadow in so that it's all in the fine lines and we get good coverage there. Okay, just a little tug right here, nothing harsh. I'm gonna go on and go to my Butterscotch again, my medium transition shade. And again, I'm just gonna kind of pull a little bit right here. And if you have the hooded eye, instead of doing the windshield wiper rainbow motion back and forth, I want you to imagine kind of a sideways L going like this. This is the corner of the L, the short part, and the long part of the L. And we're just gonna go right here. And a lot of that eyeshadow is gonna be concentrated right here on this upper corner, and it's going to give the illusion that the eye is more open and larger. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my outline of my L. Lightly pulling on that skin. And I'm holding the brush at the base again, super light handed. Now the color should be out of that hood area. We don't want it to get lost in this crease. We want it to come out so that it opens the eye up. So moving on to our final matte shade, I'm going back in to that warm chocolate brown. I believe this is Philly. Tapping my brush off, and again, I'm just gonna lightly pull. I'm gonna start tapping that color in just the outer third corner of the eye. Gonna make that sideways V, or as my oldest would call it, the greater than less than sign out here. And I'm just gonna start tapping that color in. We're not doing a ton of swiping. We're pressing it into those fine lines. And we're gonna go ahead and just sweep it into the crease just a little bit. Once most of it is off of your brush from being packed in this outer corner, just go ahead and do your little sweep in to the crease to add a little bit of dimension there. And again, I'm going to pull and just add a little bit here to the lower lash line. I'm going to really try and keep it in this outer corner. I almost don't even go halfway across with this smudged, soft look. Okay, so see, I went farther over here. For my mature skin ladies, try and keep it in this outer third lower lash line corner. Okay, so we've got our matte look. Now we can go on to our shimmer. I kind of did the soft shimmer with the brush on this side. So on this side, I really want to showcase how you can make the metallic pop more on your shimmer eyeshadow. So I'm going to go in with Angel's Landing again, and I'm going to use my pinky. Okay, you can see how much it picked up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of hold that skin and pull it out so it's tighter. That way, if we have fine lines and wrinkles, all of this eyeshadow is going to be packed into that area. I'm going to press in the inner corner, and I'm just going to give it a slight pull. Now, all of that color has been pressed right there, and you can kind of fan it upwards a little bit if you want as well. It is more difficult with nails, for sure. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of that brighter color to my tear duct area. Right there. You can see how that just helps that little pop of brightness right there in the corner. All right, I'm going to use my finger again to apply Snowbird, and this one is going in just the center of the lid. So I'm going to get it right there where I want, and I'm just going to do small little presses and drags. It's bumped right up next to the Angel's color. Don't be afraid to do a second coat if you need to. And there it is right in the center of the lid. Okay, last shimmer is that kind of coppery bronze gilded. I'm going to pick some up of that. And we're going to place it right here in the outer corner. I'm going to use my brush again to kind of marry these colors together. And give everything one quick buff. But you'll notice, okay, here's a great example. Where we cleaned up the eyeshadow over here and we created that lift upwards, this eye appears more lifted out here. Where I don't have this cleaned up and the shadow is coming down in here, the eye is almost looks like it's being pulled down a little bit. So we're going to clean that up. Going back in with my smudge brush again that I primed my eyes with, and we're just going to tap into our brightening highlight and just give a little swoop cleanup right here. And again, you can just press your finger if you want to, or if you have your Beauty Blender sponge, feel free to press in with that. But now we have that cleaned up. So there we go. We have both eyes completed now. We had one that had more mature skin and hooded tips on this side and more of a pop of shimmer. And this side we went with the kind of softer shimmer look as well. So customize this how you want, guys. If you want it to be just a matte look, you don't have to add the shimmers. If you want to keep it simple with just one shimmer, then put your shimmer all the way across your eye, and always, when in doubt, blend, blend, blend with your brush. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments.